Welcome back, football fans, to another episode of the Prediction Show. You can see it right there. It is time for the Champions League. The champion! But first, a congratulations are in order. Well done to you if you got on our sensible bet builder from the previous episode. The pick of the day, Southampton to have the most corners, came in. Of course, we paired it with Ipswich to win or draw, and they just absolutely fell flat. Southampton as well, I'm glad we didn't touch them in terms of the result, although I am not so lucky. I had them in my last man standing group. 2-0 up after, 20 minutes, and they threw it away. And finally, well done to this person. You have won a month of Odd Alerts Pro because you commented on the last video. And the same applies for this video, and I'm going to make it easy for you as well because I've got a question. Which team is going to win the Champions League this season? That is what I want to know from you today. And if you've got any predictions for any of the games that we're going to cover, let us all know in the comments. Will it be City without Rodri? When you get deep into the Champions League, to not have a player like Rodri, it's going to be tough. Will it be Don Carlo once more? I mean, the team that they are assembling there at Real Madrid, you would not really bet against them getting very, very deep into the competition. Or will it be Villa's special Spaniard, Unai Emery? They host Bologna tonight, and there's some interesting data about Bologna as well, which we will get into in this video. So put on your seatbelts, strap in, let's get into it. So we'll start this Champions League special by taking a quick look at the probability model. What is Odd Alerts thinking in this instance for these games? And you can see there are two outliers at the moment, two home teams with pretty high expected probability in terms of the outcome. Arsenal at home to Shakhtar Donetsk, implied odds of 1.47, and of course Real Madrid at home in any game. They're going to be pretty high probability, and they're facing Dortmund. That should be a cracking game. We'll definitely take a look at the data there. Juventus at home to Stuttgart as well. Juventus at the moment, they are not really scoring that many goals, but they are not conceding chances at all. I think they've conceded 4 goals in the last 10 games. Clean sheets in the majority of those games as well. We'll take a look at that data as well in a moment. To the right of your screen here, over 1.5 goals. The highest rated game is Milan versus Club Bruges, so that should be interesting to look at. Now, what we're going to do in this video next is look at the last 10 games for all of these teams combined across all games, and that'll give us an idea as to who is playing well, who's scoring goals, who's conceding goals, most corners, most fouls, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm also going to show you something brand new to the API. I'm going to use it live to create bet slips for these games. It's the bet slip generator. It has now been added to the API, so you can call it on demand with the settings of your choice and create bet slips in seconds. I will show you that later in the video, but for now, let's jump to the last 10 data for all of these teams. So this is a page that I've quickly put together. It'll show the last 10 games across all competitive competitions for all Champions League teams. And you can see in terms of games won, we've got Sporting and Liverpool who are playing, I believe, tomorrow. Liverpool are playing tomorrow. Sporting are playing tonight. So let's make a mental note of that. They're in good form. We'll go and check out their data when we jump back to the site. This little table, by the way, was created with the API. Really didn't take that long. If you've got access to ChatGPT or something, you can, feed it the data and it can create a table or a visualization for you using the data. This was using the stats endpoint and then looking at the last 10 games. And I've also shown the worst teams as well. So very interesting. As I said, Bologna away at Aston Villa. They've won 1 of the last 10. Now you might think, oh, they're in terrible form, but if we scroll down, we see Bologna again. They've drawn 7 of the last 10. We can see there Juventus, they've drawn 4 of the last 10. I mentioned the defensive record before of Juventus, absolutely fantastic at the minute. In terms of games drawn, Liverpool 0. We'll check out that. If you want to see a video tomorrow for tomorrow's games and some bet builders for tomorrow's games, this video must get 500 likes and I'll do it. That's the contract. Now, in terms of teams that have not lost in that 10-game stretch, you've got Juventus. Differdange are not in the Champions League anymore, but this is looking at the competition as a whole, including qualification. It's picking out the teams from that. Sporting, no defeats. Monaco, no defeats, and Monaco are playing at home tonight, 5:45, so that could be an interesting one to check out as well. Man City, unbeaten as well. Big winner for them at the weekend. What did you think? Was it offside? Was it onside? I thought it was a perfectly fine goal, to be honest. I can get why Gary O'Neill wants to, just get them to have a look at it and whatnot. But when the header comes in, Bernardo Silva's not in the way of the keeper at all. And if you're going to give fouls and disallow goals for little shoves and stuff backing into the keeper, then every corner would be a disallowed goal or a free kick. Now, in terms of points, Bologna here again, 10 points in the last 10 games. They rank second bottom across all Champions League teams, and they are away at Aston Villa. So at the moment, it's looking like a very tough game for Bologna away at Villa. But at the same time, could we go for an under 4 goals, Villa to win, potentially? Duran to get a goal, maybe he'll get a start in this game, although what a header from Ollie Watkins at the weekend, absolutely superb. Scrolling down to goals against, again, Differdange, fantastic team, but let's forget about them. Sporting have conceded 3 goals in the last 10 games. They are away at Sturm Graz today, so win expected for them. They drew the last game, didn't they? We had BTTS on in our previous video, and that was a winner. And in terms of goals against, they are second out of all Champions League teams. Juventus with 4. We will take a look at their data in a moment because they are in very good form. It's not that they're just not conceding goals. They're not having to make saves. In the previous game, it was pure domination. They scored very late as well at the weekend in Serie A to win that game 1-0. So there is something missing from Juventus, I think. There is a little bit of fluidity missing, but they are solid. They are so solid, so hard to beat, so hard to break down. Goal difference, we'll skip that. We'll go to over 2 goals. So which teams have seen over 2.5 goals landing the most? And Celtic are there, so that is a good one for tomorrow. We also had Celtic Dortmund, didn't we? BTTS or over 2.5 goals, I can't remember. Either way, it ended 7-1. An interesting one here as well in terms of scoring over 1 goal. Sporting in 9 of the last 10 games, so potentially that is something we can look at as well. Milan are hosting Club Brugge tonight, and Milan have conceded over 1 goal in 50% of their last 10 games, so 5 out of 10. We'll take a look at their data as well and just keep that stat in mind as we, sort of bake this cake in our heads, which is the bet builder that we're going to put together. I haven't even looked at the odds yet. I just wanted to do this one off the cuff and just show you these tables that I put together and just go through it and see what we think. I mean, we're up to BTTS now, and Stuttgart, BTTS in 8 out of the last 10 games, but they're at Juventus, remember. They are at Juventus. Man City, they play tomorrow as well. Borussia Dortmund there in 5th, away at Real Madrid. 7 of their last 10 games have ended with BTTS landing. Of course, Real Madrid not in the top 5, so we'll take a look at their data. Now we get to the interesting stuff, fouls. So the top 2 teams for fouls here are both playing tonight. Bologna away at Villa. So again, as you go through this data, you can formulate some kind of potential in your mind. Bologna cards. Let's have a look, because this is total fouls. So are Bologna the team that are being fouled, or are they committing the fouls? So actually, in terms of fouls won, Bologna are second, which is interesting given, I mean, it's just a strange set of results, isn't it? They've drawn 7 out of the last 10 games, so they're not exactly easy to beat, but they're not getting over the line. We'll take a look at the results to see if it's 0-0s or if it's 2-2s. What is their defence saying at the moment? So for fouls committed, Bologna are still there, so there's just a lot of fouls either way, and that leads to cards usually. And speaking of cards, yellow cards for the opponents. VR in Iceland, they are top, but Aston Villa, 37 cards for their opponents in the last 10 games, and I would not bet against Bologna getting a card today. So what else is there in here? As you can see, there is so many options in here. We've got cards over under, we've got corners. Let's just take a look at corners, and we can see City, Celtic, Midtjylland, Bayern Munich, Qarabag, corners against, young boys. Yeah, I will maybe link to this in future videos if you want to see more tables like this on the videos. Let me know if you would rather me just be using the site as I usually do. Just let me know. I'm looking for feedback, looking to improve the videos. Let's now jump back to the site and start digging into the data. So we'll start by taking a look at the Villa game, another massive game. They beat Bayern Munich, for God's sake, in the previous round. So, 1.55, that is a lot higher than I thought it was going to be. I've not checked the odds. 1.62 is the peak. That is a lot higher than I thought it was going to be. But it says a lot about Bologna, doesn't it? I mean, we've seen their record in terms of draws so far. Let's have a look at all competitions. So no defeat since that Arsenal game, and even in the Arsenal game, they caused serious problems to Arsenal in that fixture. But if we look at Bologna here, we can see the amount of draws is absolutely crazy. And we mentioned, checking out their goal-scoring ability. Can they score? Are they having more 0-0s? Are they having more 1-1s, 2-2s? And I've got to say, it's a bit of a mixed bag. They've had a 2-2 in the previous game. They've had a 1-1, 1-2. Away from home, I'd say they are scoring in the majority. And they've lost 3 since January away from home, which is not bad at all. I think last year they were fantastic, weren't they? They knocked Liverpool out of Europe. And this year, I mean, it's only 2 defeats recently, but the amount of draws is kind of crazy. For that reason, I think this could be a pretty tight game. Bologna will have a game plan here, so will Emery as well. Let me know what you think about this game in the comments as well. So for me, I think 1.55 is pretty generous. I mean, we might touch it later when I show you the bet slip generator stuff. But for now, I'm actually going to go under 4 goals. And then we're going to look at cards because we saw the data for fouls for Bologna. And in terms of opponents' cards for Villa, there are not many teams higher in the Champions League right now. I think there was 1 team that's higher. Bologna to receive 1 card and under 4 goals. So this could make up our Villa section of the Bet Builder. Let me know what you think about that one in the comments. So for the next game, we are heading to France and Monaco against Red Star Belgrade. That's what I'm calling them because that is impossible to pronounce. Oh, to be a commentator. Now, we'll take a look at the results we saw with Monaco. There was some interesting data for them. They are unbeaten, of course, and you would expect them to win this game. They are playing pretty well at home, scoring plenty of goals. Blanked against Lille recently, but that was the first time since early July. And I like this game for BTTS. That's my first thought because Red Star Belgrade, they've had some good performances in recent times in the Champions League. Let's forget about that Inter Milan result that's staring us in the face there, but you can see Benfica, they've scored against them, and they had some good results and good performances against Man City as well in recent times in this competition. But away from home, they score in the majority of games, don't they? They did score at Bodo Glimt as well in qualifying. And if we look at Monaco's home games as well, in terms of BTTS, in terms of conceding, it is 4 of the last 5 games and the majority of the last 10. Now, if you remember from the last 10 data, Monaco were almost top for fouls committed. So what we'll do is jump back to Bet365. And people ask, do I use Bet365 in the comments? I use Bet365 for the video. I'm not affiliated or anything like that. I am free to choose whichever I want for the purpose of this video. But I just think they have the best UI, the best interface for the video in terms of putting it together. As I say all the time, shop around. Other bookmakers will have better odds for a lot of markets that Bet365 have. I've got no affiliation to them at all. Where's Monaco here? Yeah, because I just remembered then somebody asked in the comment, why do you always use Bet365? And it's just for that reason. It's just easy to navigate on the video. It's clear for you to see what I'm looking at. If I was using bloody William Hill right now or Betfair, it's just ugly. So BTTS 1.75. If you wanted to take away some of the risk, we could go over 1.5 goals, but it's 1.16. So it's interesting when you look at that. And I always suggest doing this, looking at different odds that are in and around the same markets, because the bookies are expecting there to be 2 goals at least in this game, 1.16. Yet the odds for BTTS are 1.75. So what, are they expecting Monaco to get 2-0? Which way are they expecting these goals to go? So the fact that they're expecting 2 or more goals leans me towards BTTS, because Monaco are capable of conceding at home. We've seen that, and Red Star Belgrade more than capable of putting in a performance away from home. Inter Milan 4-0 away in the previous game. I think Inter are in a better state, a better team defensively than Monaco are. So this is what I'm thinking as a double. Let me know your predictions in the comments, and don't quit yet. Don't click off this video just yet, because I am going to also show you the new bet slip generator API, and I've also got something else to show you that I've built with that API. If you're not sure what API is, it's just access to the raw data that powers odd alerts, and you can access it on command. So I can say, create me a bet slip for high probability for home wins, high probability for over 2.5 goals. I want a 5-fold, and I want the target odds of 4-1, and it'll go away and it'll bring it back. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing that for the Champions League. So welcome to this segment. Don't be alarmed by the code here. I just wanted to show you how you can use the bet slip generator API, and I've actually created a new bot. Here is what it looks like. You can go and follow this. It'll post bet slips created, high probability, often value bets as well. And you can follow this on Telegram. There's also a Twitter account which will be linked in the description. So if you want to follow this bot, you can do. And I just want to show you as well how I've set it up. Again, this will be quick. And what we'll do is show you the settings, and then I will actually run this script and show you the results. So I was gonna do Champions League, but we're actually gonna take the competition out of there. And this is the API, so it's a URL. We are sending these settings to the URL, and the URL is data.oddalerts.com/API /bet slips, and then your API token. And if you're not sure what the API is, it allows you to access the raw data. So you can access team stats, you can access the value bets, you can access drop-in odds, all the fixtures with all the in-play stats, the pressure, the probability. So for this one, the code below here is actually creating the message and sending it to Telegram. So this is the actual code for the bot that I've created. And you can see value bets only. It's going to pick at random yes or no. So every few hours when it posts to that channel, it's getting random target odds between evens and 5. And the duration is the next few days. Odds per item, 1.2 and 3. And the number of bet slips that it returns is 10 at the moment as well. You can put this up to 50 if you're using the API. So very, very cool stuff as well. So what I'm going to do is open up the browser, and then we're going to request this bet slip. So here we are then. We've got items per slip 3. This is the results. And of course, my script is randomizing the markets and also randomizing the amounts for the total odds and stuff like that. So target odds in this case 2.24, odds per item 1.2 to 3, and we can see the markets that it's picked are home wins, over 9 corners, and under 10 corners. So that's a bit of a tricky combination, but we'll see what it's done. So we've got a home win here from Peru, 1.22 odds, 85%. Was it value bets as well? Value bets only is true. So everything you see here is value bets. Of course, you can, if you don't want to see any games that are 1.22, you can just change your settings. Simple as that. So we've got a game there. Then we've got Galway in the Republic of Ireland Premier League. Again, that's another home win. And then we actually have a trio of home wins here, 2.8 odds. And then we can keep scrolling down, and we see we've got a nice mix of games here, mostly home wins. Has it got any corner bets? It has. We've got the Champions League one here, a separate treble. We have over 9 corners at 1.57. And remember, these are all value bets as well. So South Africa women, another home victory, and then another home victory. And you can see this is just how it works. You've got 10 bet slips here instantly, and I will just refresh as well so you can see how quick it is to do it. And now we've got different randomized data, and you can see this time we're looking at home wins, away wins, and under 10 corners. So that's it. That's how it works. We've got a game here from the Europa League, Porto-Hoffenheim. Home win for Porto is are we looking at value bets in this one? Yes, value bets only is true. So this is a new addition to the API, very exciting addition. And those of you that are using the bet slip generator on the front end, don't worry, because this new functionality, these markets and the ability to select competitions is coming to all pro users. And if you want to win pro, just comment down below who's going to win the Champions League. This has been a bit of a long video, maybe a potentially more boring video. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But I need to tell people about these new things that come out of odd alerts somehow. So I thought I would put them in the videos on YouTube. So as always, enjoy the football. And if you want to see a video tomorrow, just let me know by hitting like and hitting subscribe and commenting down below.